right, kids. It's time for Bingo is Life. The podcast.
Hey, we're back.
We're back.
Hey.
We have the notorious Heidi Shell brothers to my left and right.
Hello.
Christopher and Mike.
In stereo.
It's stereo. The one, the only, Dan Easley.
My only option was murder.
Oh.
Over here, the 17th hardest working woman in show business.
That's more.
We've got it 17 now.
When she's not doing a staycation at Middle River. Mum Shackles.
My chair is sticky, and now I am too.
And our sponsors, Ruby's Arcade.
Yes,
Thanks,
where you
Ruby's.
can get all the sticky goodness. They got some sweet drinks with some fun things in them. They got some desserts. I saw some kids eating some ice cream sandwiches.
No, you
earlier.
didn't.
I did. I hope they're from here and they didn't bring them on their own. But
Were they on your seat?
I feel like they are now. So glad I'm not wearing a skirt today.
All right. Before you turn it off, we actually have a cool guest in the silent
We
Dave
do.
and Aaron chair.
Easy, manage expectations.
How was bingo?
You know what? It was great. There was a big group that normally used to come every week, and they've had a couple weeks off, and they were all excited to be back here.
Oh, they were back,
and they
and it
were
was fun.
singing, and they were doing their thing. And then another group that was they're all from Bridgewater College, and they also sang with us,
Yep.
which
Go
is very
Eagles.
sweet. And go Eagles!
Bridgewater represent.
and they-
Class of 93.
For real?
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So they
Yes, I'm matriculated.
they're in it to win it, and it was super fun, and a bunch of them won.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. And we had some new people here, too. And they have that look like, what is going on here? It's good.
What is going on here? I think I might do this again someday. Maybe.
I think I'll be back for this.
There, in the box, the prize tonight was a Lego set,
A
which I
Lego
would safely
set.
say it was probably the nicest gift
Yeah, it worth
we've ever given out.
$400 or $500 at least.
What was the theme on the Lego set?
The theme was a Disney 100-year anniversary, and it was a picture of a little character who had painted a bunch of Disney characters.
Oh.
Yeah, it was very
Very meta.
Very meta.
Like, we're going to have...
We
That-
killed Jay.
we're going to Legos.
I've still got the Bingo Flamingo at my house. We need
Oh,
to do
man.
we need to do like a build up to it though.
I tell you,
Yes.
my bingo flamingo is turned into like its pieces.
Oh, it's
Mine is
mine is
still in
trash.
one piece. It's cool. It's
bring
yeah,
it
but
in.
we got to
Bring
build it up.
forth.
We got to post pictures on the
Okay,
social
yeah.
media.
Okay.
We'll have a parade if you want to.
Mum Shackles can handle that.
I do think we're going to come up with a new Bingo is Life ad campaign, and the ad and it's simply going to say, "Join the cult."
Join the cult.
Oh, yeah.
If I had a nickel. Why do you keep pointing at me? Okay, I got it. Hey, do you guys know hey, excuse me, I'm going to come in again. That never happened. Do you guys know what time it is? It's
What?
time for another Unexpected Notion with Dan Easley.
Thank you. I pine for my physique of olden days, but I'm awfully fond of frozen pizzas. I'm Dan Easley.
That was another Unexpected Notion from Dan Easley and me too.
Oh,
The universality of our struggles.
Yeah.
You pine, huh? Pine.
Pine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pine.
As a verb.
I pine.
Not just a tree.
we having dinner last night.
Yeah.
Literally said into the group, "What would we do without Costco?" Because we were eating some.
I tell you what
all
you do.
these
You would
things.
pine.
I probably would.
You know, Costco, speaking of pine and Costco, they have been not really I'm sorry. I'm so upset
okay.
about it.
It's okay. We'll get through this.
They haven't been consistent in having Pine Sol. I go there to get the big thing of Pine Sol.
Yeah.
How much pine sol are you going through?
I'm cleaning a theater.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of sticky surfaces, we got them. But yeah, anytime I can get Pine Sol at Costco, it's a good day. You were talking about pine and Costco. I wanted to jump in. That's
All
my
right.
relevant.
Let's
note.
bring
Thank you.
let's
Let's bring in our guest.
We got a guest over here. He's
so fun.
matriculated from
Very
Bridgewater
Yes.
College.
I'm gonna
Waiting
adjust
very
my-
patiently.
I'm going to adjust my sticky seat.
I was going to
and,
say, I think sticky is the theme of the night.
Yeah. So tonight we have a delightful individual that I've met through art, and they are an artist. This person is a...
I'm on the edge of
This
my
person
seat
is a
here.
cunning linguist.
I'll let you say it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
In that every time I encounter this person, we always have an interesting conversation, and I thought, why not bring that here, where we have fun conversations?
Yeah.
This is Loring Gibson.
Hey, welcome aboard.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
You guys are my very first podcast as well.
Oh,
Get up there in the microphone.
Yeah, make
Get
sure
up
you
there.
Yeah, get up
right
in
up
there.
on it. Yeah, don't be afraid.
They love to
Move the box
Yeah.
if you need to.
just remember how many other guests have been on that microphone and get it right in there with them.
Oh, well, wait, you bury the lead, dude. No, I'm all over
Okay,
it.
most germs die within a week.
That's what we're telling everyone.
The weak ones do.
Oh, wait, don't we get to talk about science on this podcast?
Yeah, Bingo's Life, the science episode. That's what we've got here.
Oh.
Bring it. Let's go.
Science!
So, Loring, what are you working on right now? Are you working on anything fun? With,
Always.
Yeah.
Always. But there's a show coming up, I guess in January at the Frame Factory. the
Oh,
Dungeons
I
and
know
Dragons
about that show.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the last show. I said I wasn't going to do any this year, and that's like the 5th that has something to do with.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one thing. I'm going back to carving. Yeah, and just carving, painting, sculpting. There's always something going on.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
What medium are you going to use for the D&D show?
I told them all the wood.
Oh my gosh. This is
That's
definitely
usually the one I lean into, but yeah, wood. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I've been thinking about it for like ever since we got the prompts.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a tough one. So the show that we're talking about is a Dungeons and Dragons art show. It's pretty much that kind of storytelling, that world. So each artist that signed up for this show has been given a plot point in a story that was written by someone. I don't know who that person is out there. I just forgot their
Don't
name,
know
and
who.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
But they created a campaign just for this.
They
show,
created
right?
a
Yeah.
huge, lots of layers. Like there was a lot of reading that you had to do before you jumped into your plot point. So each artist will be depicting or creating a plot point so that as you go through the show, as I understand, you'll be able to see the story unfold in varying mediums.
Oh well, like Stations of the Cross, but just for Dungeons.
Yeah. So it should be a pretty cool show.
I'm already getting
Nice.
traumatized.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Where's this show at?
It is at the Frame Factory.
Oh, he just said that.
Yeah. No, it's
Great
good to,
spot to see art, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ever since Larkin.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of really good spots in Harrisonburg, but
Right.
Rhoda does an amazing job. She has at least 2 gallery walls, 2 shows, and they do First Friday every other month.
Does
So they have them up for 2 months.
Dana still have something to do with that? Never mind. Don't
Great
go there.
question.
Skip that.
I
Edit
don't know.
that out.
Interesting. So the Frame Factory, that's the one that's right down. I mean, it's downtown,
On Liberty
on
Street.
Liberty Street. Yeah, it's kind of next to Machida.
yeah, it used to be Hess Furniture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the old heads in Harrisonburg used to be Hess.
Oh yeah.
We always went there for furniture for the plays.
Yep.
We went there furniture for the little grill once. I went there with Ron once. And then
I had a
Play,
friend
too.
who went there for furniture for his house.
What?
Wow.
That's
I went
cool.
there for furniture for an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted
Loring,
like funky, retro, and cheap.
Yeah.
Underscore cheap.
Oh, amazing! What that Hess was so packed. I mean, just but the people that worked there kind of knew where everything was.
They
Yep.
did. It was crazy.
Yeah.
because they had been there for so long. So I used to work for that Hess's son, Gary Hess. Nelson Hess was the father that owned the furniture store with his wife Nancy, and they loved auctions. That particular taste had. Pastime had been passed down to Gary as well. So this whole family just loved to go to an auction, and they could not resist a deal. So not only was the furniture store packed, but I worked on their farm, which was just north of Harrisonburg, where Back Home on the Farm is now. And it may have changed since then, but when I was working on the farm, there was furniture everywhere. The barn was full of desks that had been emptied from dormitories at UVA that had been on sale. One whole room in the garage, because they have this. It was a machine shed.
A herd of desks.
A herd of desks, bales of desks. But yeah, in the machine shed there were multiple rooms, and one of them was just full of mattresses. varying
Oh,
sizes.
God.
But they were all
Fields of mattresses.
mattresses vertically stacked. And so these the two gentlemen that used to work at the furniture store, Nelson was an older man. He was, when I encountered him, he was in his 90s, I believe.
He was always 90.
He was always 90.
Born 90.
No, just from my perspective in the time. But the two guys that worked for him, he called them the boys. We'll get the boys to bring that over. We'll send the boys out to the farm.
And they were like 70.
They were full grown men. Yes.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah.
Yes. So.
Well, Loring, what you studied at art at Bridgewater?
No, so yes and no. Biology degree, art minor.
Biology.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep, and I've not used it other than to win a bunch of free beer in Harrisonburg.
Hey, good.
A lot of volunteering, a lot of game checking and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I never found a paying gig in biology.
Yeah.
But win a lot of free beer, and I look really smart in front of my wife at Jeopardy. So
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's what matters the most.
that's it, right? That's
And how did you stumble into art?
always been an artist. My mom's an artist.
Yeah.
Always made art. And at Bridgewater, I was one of two super long-haired guys in the 90s, early 90s, right? And
There were two.
there were two, me and the other deviant. And there was this God Squad guy that kind of had it, but he was like
That's a different long
the cool
hair.
pastor with the the guitar.
Yeah.
He's that guy. But
Was
mostly
that you?
artists. Yeah, that was Jay.
me.
That was Jay. He was the cool pastor. So just started hanging out with artists and making art and raising.
Very
them, that
cool.
kind of thing. Yeah.
What's your specialty? I heard it's carving and
Mostly wood. So
wood.
Mostly so carving, sculpting. Did a lot of painting the past few years. But now I've gotten back into carving. Started with tikis around 2009.
Fun.
Joke is Paul Summers, shout out.
Yeah.
Kind of got me into poetry readings and stuff in Harrisonburg, and then kind of introduced me to the art scene. So I said I came out as an artist in 2009.
Very cool.
That's the lame joke. But so I just love carving, and like I said, I just play and make stuff out of other stuff. So a lot of reclaimed stuff.
Okay.
But now this season, it's just going to be more carving and assemblage and stuff like that.
Are there any themes that jump out, or any particular?
Man. Not really. I'm doing more abstract stuff.
Yeah, okay,
So
cool.
I went from kind of painting abstracts to now carving abstracts.
Cool.
Right? So doing more intuitive stuff and art therapy kind of techniques, and just kind of playing with what's there and kind of have an idea. But the thing is, I'll come up with an idea and then follow it. So it either kind of looks like what I started out, or
Gotcha.
you just kind of follow whatever the wood. turns
The
into.
What
wood
kind of
speaks to you.
tools are you using?
Anything to get my hand on. I'm not
Is that right?
a purist. It's going to be chisels. It's going to be a chainsaw. It's going to be Dremels. Yeah, anything. I've got a grinder that I call Peggy.
But don't we all really?
Amen, Dan. Yeah. When I
No, we
met
all have a
she
Peggy.
changed
We
my
call it
life.
grinder.
She just has this weird handle. and
Made no
there's this
sense.
whole
You
thing.
have a Dremel at your place?
Yeah, actually, so I have two Dremels. Yeah,
I've
always
got
gotta have a
5 more
Dremel.
jokes
Yeah.
already. I'm gonna leave them though.
That's like
Yeah,
going,
bring 'em, yeah.
That's like going back to the probably the origins of art was carving wood, or not maybe not the origins, but that might have way back in the olden days.
Yeah, I mean, there's paint on walls, but
Paint on walls.
Cave
Yeah,
painting,
yeah. When people want, and that was the thing. I mean, artisans, started carving and creating stuff, and then they got bored, right? So then they're like, well, let's put some designs in this stuff, and then
Well, and arranging the bones of your vanquished enemies into
A lot of the stuff that they made out of
Sorry,
all
go
that
ahead.
that's okay. A lot of the things they made out of wood are gone, but from say like 30,000 years ago.
well, sure. And I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of people, they find pieces, and it's all this, this venerated thing or whatever, and it could have been something some dude made because he was bored on a Saturday or whatever they called the day back then, right?
Yeah.
And that's that kind of Eva Hesse thing comes to mind. You have art, which is kind of the process, and then the artifact. And I stole that from Charlie Cash here in town. He kind of reminded me of that. And that's it. I mean, I like making stuff, and I like helping people make stuff. But once it's made, more often than not, it's
Yep.
let's sell it, give it away, whatever.
dust. It's just collecting
and
dust.
it's not attachment. I like making the thing. There's a couple of things I hang on to because they're either they were formative or it was a new level or whatever. Just turning a piece for the deck show that's going to be
the
coming
deck
up soon.
Yes.
And with 2 weeks to go, I decided to teach myself a new medium and play with air dried clay.
Nice.
And it turned into a cool thing. So, but it's out, right? And that's the thing. So the stuff that we find, it's cool to find that stuff. And I think it's good to pay attention to some art history, but then you get in the, art history's only been like told by dudes. And so there's only this like, okay, we have that story, right? So at the end of the day, anything can be art. Anything I think that you can make is fun, but to me, it's the process.
Yeah. When you were talking about art therapy, are you considering that art therapy for yourself as you're making discoveries, or are you facilitating art therapy for someone else?
All the above. All the
Cool.
above. So that's a longer story. See, this is where the conversation.
There it is. There we go. Okay, everybody sit back.
All right.
Got it.
So 1,000 years ago, worked for a local language company called Rosetta Stone, and they did a bunch of layoffs after the second acquisition. Blah blah blah. And I decided to take some time off. Let's see if we could switch from being some sales cog, to following art and see what we could do with it, right? So I started changing up what I called modes. So instead of having, a job to go to in the morning, it was get things squared away, pick a couple of rituals, like make your bed, get the dish drainer squared away, and then I would grab the journals and sit outside. So the process that I developed then, I just kind of, that's what I'm trying to move into. That turned into later on this kind of a journaling healing thing. So after my mom passed a year ago in February, the first thing I did was that, because I couldn't do anything else. And then my therapist let me know that I was actually doing art therapy. Shout out therapy, by the way. Go. Dudes, go to therapy. Every one of you, go. So then fast forward to my last company that I worked for. Did a lot of networking locally, professionals, that kind of thing. Met the executive director for the Sadie Rose Foundation. Shout out Vonda. And we just kind of, were chewing the breeze. And she said, would you mind kind of showing us what you do? And I'm off to the races. So my therapist is like, you really are just doing art therapy, man. So just kind of show them what you're doing. And so to answer the question, it basically was something that helped me. And it really is not only, like grief or anything like that, but when you're trying to process something or just trying to especially process all the garbage that may or may not be happening lately, having something to do that occupies that part of your head, and then the rest of it can kind of figure things out. I mean, that's the basic, most simple explanation of it. Plus, it's just fun to make stuff.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I had read something recently. It was a meme that I reshared, but it was something about even if you're not making the big masterpiece or your opus right now, it's okay to take that time to regenerate and recuperate and not be working on art. But then at the same time, I was looking at that and thinking, I keep my journal, which is a sketchbook and a collage and a scrapbook. It's
nice.
Everything. And even when I'm not painting something big for everyone to see, I'm still putting something in there, so it's still being created.
Good.
So yeah, it's. I don't know where I'm going with this, but just taking it easy on yourself, and even when you're making small things, you're still making discoveries and still growing.
A fellow perfectionist once told me anything worth doing is worth doing badly. And
100%
it's
fail,
a twist
fail
on
hard.
the cliche, but you have to take the pressure off yourself in order to proceed, So I have to remind myself to just go ahead and make bad art, I feel like I'm good for something I'm proud of. About every 10 years I come up with something I'm particularly pleased with. And then in the interim, well, in order to ensure that happens again, I have to spend a few years doing things I'm not so happy with.
Yeah.
Making things that in my case it's mostly music, so making things that don't sound great.
And that's a good point, because it's not just painting and carving and sculpting. I mean, it's dancing, it's singing, it's playing, it's
Sure.
writing. It's like everything creative is that, right? So if you're
There's a practice, and so you have to.
yeah.
You don't have to practice, but you have to engage in the practice, right?
Talking about the therapy, the hard part for me is trying to recognize that you have value as a human being, whether you're actually producing something of value or not, and that
Yeah.
interferes with producing anything for me. So I mean, you relate to that at all?
I do. So big breakthrough this year. I'm 54, and it is the first time in my life that I don't hate myself. Again,
Aw.
thanks therapy.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. So now it's I'm trying not to swing the pendulum in the other direction and be completely obnoxious. You know, I super love me, which I do. But to the point, it's not finding the value outside of yourself, ain't it? And you know that, right? But it's basically you wake up. Okay, I woke up. Do you want to, be miserable about that? Sometimes you can't choose, right? We all know that. But if you can choose, then choose maybe just to, at the very least, appreciate that you're here, and then just throw something down, man. Whether it's going to be like, and I know you write, and rumor has it you're funny. So, tell yourself a joke in the mirror. Look at something. Think about the absurdity that is this life. I mean, Camus nailed it, right? And I'm going to sound like a, nerdy douchebag and just start talking about Camus for the next time.
Oh, that's the alternate title of this podcast, Nerdy Douchebags.
Nerdy douchebags.
But
that's it, man. I mean,
Camus.
you're lucky enough to not be being bombed back to the Stone Age right now.
Right. That's what
So that's all external, though. I mean, you get to be Jay, man. You get to be Jay right now, and to me, that's the best damn thing you could be.
Yeah.
Can I be Jay right now?
If we should all be so lucky to be Jay for like 30 seconds.
I want to be.
You got to remember that. I mean, I record with a guy in Odessa, Ukraine, and he has got to go down to his basement bomb shelter 3 or 4 times a night sometimes.
Crazy.
So I mean, that puts a restriction on your art production.
Mm-hmm.
Probably pretty good acoustics down there, though.
Yeah. See, look at you with this silver lining.
Silver lining.
Glass half full.
But let's not. I mean, that's the other thing too is people will beat up
Molotov
on
cocktail, half full.
You. Oh, speaking of Molotov cocktail, people will beat up on you and say, "Well, you could have it worse." Well, no. But the thing is, you're being you right now, and sometimes that could be the best and/or worst thing you can be, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But I bring up the example is that maybe lean into that and think, okay, well, I'm here, and that's really all it is. Just I'm here, and just build from there.
Right.
Yeah, we have to be gracious with ourselves and give ourselves, be as nice to ourselves as we would be to our friends, and our self-talk. Don't talk. It's hard to not talk to yourself in that mean voice that's judging. And
Oh, I
everything.
called myself the king of self-loathing for 53 and a half years.
Yep.
Did you do any EMDR or anything fun like that?
No, I'm curious about that. No. Short answer.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
It's a Jay.
Electromagnetic.
I'm not going to be able to come up with the words that connect to the
Are there flashing
letters.
lights? Is it some
It
sensory?
it
there's a-
involves bilateral movement. One theory is that you process. I'm not sure if this is. One theory is you process trauma in your sleep and with dreams, and that's what the rapid eye movement, moving left to right, is. So you're moving. It involves bilateral stimulation or eye movement to try to integrate conflicting elements of your psyche that are separated because of trauma, and you try to get everything under a comprehensive self, true self.
So when you're integrating it, are you the other thing that people bring up with trauma? Are you recontextualizing it? Are you when you say integrated? Are you trying not to relive it, because that's how I guess trauma keeps coming back at you?
This is probably going to be too deep for where.
Oh, baby, let's get deep. That's what I'm here for.
It involves. You want to put it in the past. But once you integrate it, then you're not re-experiencing. You want to stop re-experiencing it. And
Right.
And
so
by
your PTSD and that.
Right.
And of course, then they talk about psychedelics helping with that and any of that stuff. I mean, that's the thing though, is that you try to. It happened, and not reliving that moment.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's-
Rewiring your brain too, so that you're not having that trauma response.
Yeah.
You're just like, that was a thing that happened, as opposed to I am throwing up because that thing happened and I'm feeling it all over again.
Like it just happened a minute ago.
Yeah,
I've actually,
Brains, they're so fascinating.
they are
aren't they?
fascinating.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
I've had a couple friends who have had success as clients or patients with EMDR, and I have a dear friend who is trained in administering it, I suppose you'd say. She's a psychologist or psychiatrist or one of those. And I'm but a layperson, so I'm in the same boat as you, Jay, is not one to oversimplify it or anything, but I do suspect that it shares some qualities with some of the psychedelic-based therapies, and that it may share more with that than with, say, talk therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy or one of those, where I'm not quite sure that you're reasoning things out with this.
Well, it should go hand in hand, though, right? I mean,
Perhaps. The mind is not limited to the rational parts of the mind, of
thank
course.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would not be here.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't be here.
We're into some dark places on the podcast.
Speaking of the rational mind, our sponsor is Ruby's Arcade.
Yes.
If you need a break from your trauma, you come down here and play some
There you
ping
go.
pong. Yeah, ping pong.
Duck pin
They
therapy.
took the ping pong
Duck pin
table
therapy.
out there, didn't they?
They
Did they?
Yeah.
They did. No more
Too many injuries.
Lost
That's a
lot of good
joke.
people
That's
with that
not-
thing.
Too many hernias from the ping pong game.
Oh, man.
For example. That's cool. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. It's that's especially for males. It's hard to acknowledge that you need therapy. You need to.
Yeah. I mean,
What are
that's a
these
common joke or
feelings?
meme, like dudes would rather do blah, blah, blah than go to therapy. And mostly it's true, right?
Yeah.
But, to stumble into, trying to figure out, right? Is you as long as you're looking, that I think is when it's successful. It's like you're at least opening up and bringing it to you. If somebody brings you kicking and screaming, to therapy, then it's not going to stick, right? And then like we just mentioned, 3-4 different kinds. I mean, you got to find the thing that works for you, right?
Yeah. I had gone to a therapist and she immediately threw me into EMDR without I just needed to talk to somebody. All I needed to do was just unpack my day. But I didn't know all of the terminology to be able to be like, actually, this is not what I need right now. But she just threw me right into EMDR, and it was the way that she did it was back and forth eye movement. And it was kind of like, I think I also had earphones, and it was almost like being in stereo as the sound would go from ear to ear and the movement would go corresponding.
Like the first two Pink Floyd albums.
I was just going to say stereo panning with Pink Floyd. Nicely
Yeah.
done, Dan.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
If only she had made me listen to Pink Floyd, I may be healed.
Alan
today.
Parsons Project.
Ooh, yeah, nice.
I have been playing
Parsons Project.
with my son and making art with him, and I think that has been a big, to find a buddy to do your thing with, and that has been really cool. Different than friends. Different like you're you're in your basement, you're looking at your boy, and all of a sudden you're like, you're teaching him how to play, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, this dude is doing really well, and then it's a different thing, and and now it started over the pandemic because we were all stuck at home, so we both started playing to kill time essentially, and then now it's turned into a thing where we go record music together and we put out songs, and Dan recorded us once.
I did. That was fun.
It's
Nice.
super cool.
In the basement.
Yeah, it's in the
It's a
basement.
nice basement.
Thanks, buddy. That's where art gets made.
Yep. The
Basements.
magic happens. Yeah.
100%. There's a positive if you want to start digging our way out of whatever dark or depth that we got into. Right? Let's talk about
Basements.
The being forced to hang out at home, during the first pando. Let's but the quarantine,
thinking.
right? What did we learn, and what did we get to experience? So those of us that didn't meltdown or whatever. I mean, if we can now look at it, from behind, it's stuff like that, right? And I've heard more of those stories than people completely losing it because they were. I mean, to the point about therapy, they were forced to sit still. They were forced to be in one place. They could distract themselves enough.
Yeah.
But no, they were forced to hang out and realize, okay, either this thing really sucks or this thing's pretty great. Let's see what this is about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big, I would go back to the pandemic time. Like, I was so happy to be at home. I loved it. I worked half the amount of time. My kids were there. It was just such a different. It was, I mean, for me, it was kind of, I know I'm the outsider. It was like a blessing.
Different people have different
Yeah.
experiences.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I enjoyed it. I had a great garden. My garden was great. And then when I went back to work, my garden, it looks real bad. Well, yeah. I mean, my mom's trying, but she needs another set of hands, and I haven't been able.
I had 4 people living in my home who were 80, 90 years old and in compromised health.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So my major fear was I don't want to kill somebody's mother by bringing this unknown germ into.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So
real.
It wasn't all butterflies and daisies.
No.
Yeah, we kind of went off the. Yeah, it was. No, let's not go back there.
Well, I tell you what, we'll turn it into where can we find your art? Where?
Let's see. Right now, there's a piece at Smith House Arts Council.
Okay.
There's a member show. Just last month showed some stuff at Pale Fire.
Sweet.
Yeah. So basically, anywhere there's a wall. Although
Nice.
I've shown enough. So if you look at One Big Dose on Instagram, that's all my art stuff. And at one point, that was my kind of art moniker. But now I'm trying to represent other artists, and I'm trying to get other people up on walls, especially folks that don't look like this, right?
Right.
And so I'll be helping Susan at Pale Fire with her scheduling for 2025 for First Fridays, and I may or may not be helping another business do the same.
Nice.
So my stuff will end up somewhere. Somebody inevitably is like, hey, an artist dropped out, But Sean at the Friendly Fermenter, shown there a couple of times. Restless Moons. I think there's a theme here, right, with beers. I've actually got some stuff
theme.
at Northwest Mutual.
Okay.
So they're across from Jack Brown's. There's some of my abstract stuff hanging there.
Their beer is terrible.
It's awful, right? It tastes just like water.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Glad the conversation, while at some points dark, was very interesting.
I mean,
It's good.
We're going through a spell
good.
right now.
Yeah.
We're all kind of processing things and figuring out where things
very
are going
good.
from now.
Hey, before we leave, I got a
art.
show this Friday at the Friendly
Yes, you
Fermenter.
do.
Nice.
So you can
That's
go
right.
see some music for free from 7 to 10. And there's another really fun show happening same night. Amateur Rodeo is playing at Clementine.
Nice.
That one costs maybe $10, but it's totally worth it. They're recording a live CD, so that'll be a lot of fun there. That starts at 9. So you can feasibly go
I like
to the
this.
Fermenter for an hour and a half
Yeah.
and then walk over to Clementine and see a wonderful that's a whole evening of activities.
Yeah. If you go to the Clementine thing, if you hoot, you might be on the album.
That's right.
Don't hoot too loud, though.
Or you
don't
might
wanna
be an
wreck it.
owl.
Yeah, that was a terrible owl impression.
Oh, it was an owl.
I don't know what happened. I'll try better next time.
Speaking of live owl bums, the Automatic Sweethearts, the trio I play drums in, is we're putting out our 4th live album. I think our first one came out in 2008 or 2009 or something. So just 6 or 7 tunes that we played out over the last year, and that'll be out in 10 days on your favorite streaming media provider.
Nice.
Yeah.
Art.
That's a wrap.
Oh.
Is there music playing in the background?
I'm sure there is.
There's music.
Thanks to Ruby's Arcade and the historic Wine Brothers building in downtown Harrisonburg. And thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Reginald P. Witherspoon. Whither goeth the spoon, there goes the nation.
Bingo is Life, a post-bingo Harrisonburg podcast, is brought to you by the Brothers How to Show and our friends at Ruby's Arcade in downtown Harrisonburg, Virginia. If you've enjoyed the show and feel it's worth spreading a little joy in this world, please tell just one person that you like this podcast. Word of mouth, more than any other form of promotion, is how creative works get noticed and sustain themselves. Thank you, Andrew Hickey, for that bit of wisdom, and thank you, listeners, for being part of the fun.